a couple of our senators on the critical race theory.
Okay.
In one, critical race theory is racism. Critical race theory is this looking at the way that law has been conduit for racial This is not about the substance of critical race theory. This is about conservatives need to wake up that this is an existential threat to the United States.
Those of you who are just joining us right now,
Race. It's a way of looking at why, after so many decades, centuries actually, since the emancipation, we have patterns of inequality that are enduring.
and there you have it, folks. If you listen to what the lady just said, this has been going on since the emancipation. So this has been going on for more than just decades. It's almost dang near an era. So through my research, we went and dug in a little bit deep. And I'm going to do this with you guys real quick, and then we're going to turn it over to Jasmine, and she's going to give you her intake. For my research, critical race theory examines society's understanding of race and how it's informed by various powerful dynamics. And those powerful dynamics, that could be politicians, it could be your teacher, it could be your neighbor, as long as they have some kind of powerful influence within your community. Now, in order to understand this theory, it's important that we note what the critical race theory is not. It does not claim that race is fiction or that racial categories are meaningless. Rather, it asserts that they are a social construct created by and for humans. Now, when we go into saying that it's a social construct that's created by humans, the white person. So remember that. A lot of the wording that we say is worded so that we won't offend anybody. But I'm James, and I don't care if I'm offending someone, because I'm offended that my children can't learn about their history because of certain Republican politicians out there. Jasmine?
Yes, so let's talk about it. I'm going to be touching base on the school systems. It's critical race theory through the 2022 legislative session, passing new legislations in Georgia, Florida, Mississippi, and states that further regulates how the nation teachers can discuss racism, sexism, and issues of system and inequality in the classroom. The trend has proved to be an ongoing minefield for teachers and school districts, some of whom have already faced challenges to lessons and professional development courses in states where these laws have passed. In Oklahoma, for example, the State Board of Education downgraded the accreditation for 2 school districts that is claimed violated the state's law targeting critical race theory. In July, a Tennessee parent group sued local and state education leaders over a curriculum it claims that the state law prohibits. These laws and their consequences are just one manifestation of the increased scrutiny schools are facing in teaching and about any issues that could be deemed controversial, even in states without CRT legislation. School boards and parent groups have challenged curriculum choices, sought to remove library books, and called for teachers to take down flag banners or any banners supporting social justice causes. Since January 2021, 42 states have introduced bills or taken other steps that would restrict teaching critical race theory or limit how teachers can discuss racism and sexism. According to the Education Week analysts, 17 states have imposed these bans and restrictions either through legislation or other avenues. So it's pretty much been, everyone's been talking about it. It's right in our face.
Yeah, and it's been widespread. I mean, for a long time, you couldn't go on social media and you would not see it not in somebody's, on their timeline, or they made a comment about it. But what I'm trying to say is we as a community, black and browns, need to really get down. Not get down and watch TV or what's the latest video out there or the latest outfit. What the hell are they teaching your damn kids in school? That and more after the break with James and with Jasmine here on the Table Talk.
Conditions in various southern regions by the number of black importantly. There has to be some type of racial awareness that's used to analyze American history, U.S. history, at least to some extent, or else nothing today makes sense.
That was some outtakes from our constituents here around the country. Now we are back here at the top of the hour. It's myself, James, your talk show host for the top. And I have my guest, Miss Jasmine Washington. Now, before the break, we were going over and Jasmine was talking about what the schools were going through. Now, I've done some research on that too, Jazz. And it's so astonishing that a lot of the teachers, they're part of the Good Old Boy Club.
Yes.
And a lot of the critics, they did some research, and they believe that there are systematic problems with how society understands and deals with racism. You know, and this racism thing, not just racially based outcomes that become systematic and widespread within the implicity, of racism. It differs from other scholarly discussions of racism, where racism is an explicit act that people intentionally engage in. And a lot of scholars are saying, oh, no, they don't intentionally do it. Bullshit. That's what I say, bullshit. And one of my friends was like, why do you keep saying pink people? I said, well, instead of me saying hunky, I said pink person. Because I wouldn't want them to call me a nigger, you know? So when we get into what our children are learning in school, it becomes astonishing to me that they want to erase the history. They want to erase the reasons why it's come about. And what we need to realize is that we as people gotta be more educated than learned.
Because the schools
There's a
aren't
difference
teaching our children
educated and learned.
anything. They're not giving us
No.
history of black people. They're giving the history of what they want them to believe and stuff that doesn't have anything to do with our roots. So some of the kids are lost.
That's right.
They wouldn't know about the
Yep.
history.
And that's the thing that and it all became because one Supreme Court justice back in 1920 made a decision that if they want to vote, these are some guidelines that they need to follow. There shouldn't be no guidelines. It said we all are created equal within this union. And that's what the forefathers, of course, hunkies, had said. And no disrespect to them, but that's what the only thing that history is allowing to do it. So the theorists, they investigate how racial disparities occur in society. And critical race theory began to gain public attention during a time that political backlash against progress made it racial injustice, i.e. the George Floyd case. Many people use race theory in order to understand how racial disparities affect our societal outcomes. Well, in the George Floyd case, that was not going to be anything unless that little girl would have kept that recording in her phone and didn't go viral with it.
Exactly. And even if it
You
does
know,
go viral
the critics of the critical
today, still, even if it goes viral, they're still winning. And it's just ridiculous to see that we got to go outside because we got a messed up, all these white people is in control of everything that we do. Even if
we go and we have to really look at on internally. If we go in and we go deep and we look at the beginning of time. In the beginning of time, the time was set in an Egyptian country, which was on the African continent. And we as Africans sold each other to the white man so that we could get the tools that they had. But we were already vegetating off the land. We was already cultivating the land with our bare hands because it was ours. So we as a people, we lost that connection because we all wanted to be better than the next one. So when the critics, they did their theory research, it promoted that it was reverse racism. Now, the critics, they also thought that, the claims of the reverse racism thing would be something that could change it around and it would make us think like, oh, well, maybe we shouldn't talk about the slavery days because then that would bring up old wounds. Well,
you have to talk about it today. Because
right, but that's the wrong thought. Right, because if we don't bring it to the table, they're not going to bring it to the table for us.
Exactly.
And at first they believe that in order to right, but that's because we're not addressing the issues like oppression honestly, and it is necessary for us to understand how power and privilege and influence in these institutions really are. So, folks, what we're going to do, we are 6 minutes after the hour. We're going to go ahead and play a couple more excerpts from our cohorts out here in media land. Because a lot of the stuff that they're talking about on these sound bites are astonishing. We even got old fuck Trump with his shit. Talking about some stuff.
Combined with the token appointment of members of the victim class who are least likely to remind all past racist
When we are back here on the Table Talk with James and our special guest host, Miss Jasmine Washington. Hey, Jazz.
Hey, James.
So, what we're going to do, Jazz, is in this last part of the hour, we don't have any more questions because we didn't do the live this morning, folks out there. We had some system difficulties here in the studio, so we weren't able to do the live. What we're doing is we're recording our show right now, ladies and gentlemen, for you guys' viewing so that you can actually get the outtake. And we have so many sound bites that we can play for this. And tomorrow, what we're going to do is we're going to have an open forum discussion with some of the people that we have on list already for the chat line. We will be live tomorrow, 9 a.m. Eastern Standard Time on YouTube and rss.com, as well as we will be here on Riverside.fm, my parent company. I would like to appreciate and give thanks to all of you guys for your hard work and tireless hours of helping keep James here with the tabletop. So back to our show. And by the way, you guys, my team, we're all team Black Lives Matter. I'm going to be cooperating your employer, but right now I got to make sure my people eat. So, Jazz, back at the top of the hour, and we were talking about what the theorists believed. And the last statement was about how we need to understand the power and privilege and influence that it has on these institutions. Now, when you touched earlier, you were talking about the several states that have proposed bills banning the teaching of the critical race theory, and critics want the idea of the critical race theory to be removed from the curriculum permanently. Now, proponents of these bills believe that banning critical race theory in schools will prevent students, not parents, but students from adopting this worldview. Then they also believe that it will allow educators to teach more traditional ideas. So, they want to teach us about the damn Pilgrims landing on Plymouth Rock when the Indians was already damn here.
Yes, my take on this is... Yes, my take on this is that we have council meetings in your neighborhood, and a lot of Black people need to start learning about their neighborhood and who's in charge and all those type of things so that they can go and vote. They don't know what's going on in the neighborhood. They're so worried about all the little stuff when we need to be in the meetings talking about it. That's how all these bills are getting signed, and we don't know what's going on because they already was talking about it in the neighborhood. It didn't pass the neighborhood because all the white people came to the meeting. And that's why the neighborhoods are bad and they don't care.
Yep, and we don't know what's going on because we so worried about, girl, what they do last night, honey, instead of worried about, girl, what they doing down there at City Hall?
Exactly.
What they doing over there at the neighborhood meeting? Those are the things that we need to worry about. And we don't worry about those things.
Have also died for us to vote, and a lot of Black people have still yet to this day to vote. The ones that can.
Yep.
And this is why also bills are being passed and laws because no one's voting. We're sitting back letting people control our lives that we're living in. We wouldn't even know half of the bills that were signed in different states. Different states have different things. So you could be going out of town and another person says,
they do.
What's going on there, and something could happen to you, and then it's probably the law there, and you wouldn't know because you don't do your research. So us as Black people, I think that we are very educated, and we need to start acting like it and actually applying ourselves to doing the stuff that we need to do in the neighborhood to make everything better for us and our children.
Yes, we do. So, ladies and gentlemen, we got some more of our critical race theory sound bites that I did want to play for you. I want to get through some of these.
They clearly live themselves to interpretations that do not represent the views that I expressed on civil rights. I want to make it clear that is not to say that I agree with all the attacks on her. I have always believed in democracy, and nothing I have ever written is inconsistent with the law.
And that was Condoleezza Rice, ladies and gentlemen.
Well, I've got videos, by the way. He was at Harvard. He was advocating for the worst of the worst to join the faculty. Radicals.
Now, on that one right there, I wanted to take a pause for a moment because I listened to that. And that was one of Donald Trump's campaign managers at the time. And it befuddles me how the media allows these people to say anything and everything that they want, and it gets flame. But let you or I, Jazz, have a conversation about this. It don't get flame. It don't get breaking news. Swept under the rug. Uh-oh. There's two black folks. They know what's going on. Let's get them.
Yeah, speaking on Donald Trump.
Well,
the situation with the Brittany Griner, the basketball player, and that's a big thing. Where they went and got a Russian drug lord and gave him back to Russia for Brittany Griner. I mean, I don't wish any. I know that they was holding Brittany Griner as bait to get back the guy that did all of that stuff here, and that's bad. But I'm glad that they came to their senses back, but it's still, that wasn't good. Like, that was a fair exchange.
With that
go ahead.
With that drug lord, Jazz, believe me, old Mike Joe, our current sitting president, him and Kamala Harris, they got tactics, they'll get it. Just like Barack Obama got Osama bin Laden, they gonna get him. It's just a switch and bait just to get the young lady back here so that she can be back here safe with her family. And I think it's a travesty that those are the things that we have to do to get our people back. Instead of us using those men in the uniforms for the job that they signed up for. Ladies and gentlemen, this is your boy James here with the Table Talk with James and Miss Jasmine Washington here. We have been talking for the last 20-some minutes about the critical race theory and what it meant to us and how it's affecting us. Jasmine has shared before the break how it has worked its way back into our school system, and it's starting to eat away at the history that's being taught. But it's not eating away at the history that the white man has brought upon this land. This is not no black power radical radio station or talk show. This is, I'm going to hold your ass to the red carpet show. This is your boy James here with the critical race theory on the Table Talk with James.
Jeremiah Wright of academia. Developed a theory called critical race theory, which holds that the civil rights movement was a sham, and that white supremacy is the order and it must be overthrown. That is a complete misreading of critical race theory. Contradiction to our creation story of nation states. So we've tried to push it aside. What we're trying to do with this project is force us to confront the truth. The whole project is a lie. Certainly if you're an African American, slavery is at the center of what you see as the American experience. But for most Americans, most of the time, there were a lot of other things going on.
And that last person that we just heard, ladies and gentlemen, was the old speaker, Newt Gingrich, who is no longer a politician, by the way. This it got me so jumping up on the night, and I have to take a step back, Jazz, and think about where my future is and what lies for me.
Right. And
it's kind of a heartening feeling because of the parenting that is going on within our community. As you pointed out earlier, there's not a time that you can go to any town hall meeting board member and see the majority there black or brown.
Right.
That's people. And now I'm saying this to every person out there, and I want to move this mic back a little bit, and I'll speak a little louder. I want you to look at my lips and listen. It is pertinent that we as black and brown people become a part of the process and the solution instead of the problem. And when I say the problem, that means stop sitting at home waiting for them to make the order. You have to make them make the order.
Yes.
And how you do that?
Demand.
And that's how we do it. You demand it and you stand on it. Jazz, I'm going to give you the last word here before we take the last commercial break.
Yes. As we were talking about earlier with the school systems, as you can see, everybody that will be listening to the show, you have grandchildren, cousins, nieces, nephews. We have youth that's supposed to be the future for us. So if we don't teach these kids now, then there wouldn't be a future for black people. There won't be a future for black people. Black people will be whatever, all the bills that they pass, if they decide that they want to go back to lynching, which they're doing in some states, all of that, like in the states that they're trying to lynch people in, if there's black people could have went to make sure that that bill didn't get passed or that law wasn't passed, and they're passing them as we speak now. They pass stuff in our sleep that we don't even know about, and I just feel like we need to stay woke. Stay woke. All black people stay woke. Wake up and smell the coffee. Like
that's right. Ladies and gentlemen, you heard it. You heard it live here on the Table Talk with James and my special guest host, Miss Jasmine Washington of Pittsburgh as well. We will be coming back to you again tomorrow morning, 9:30. Oh, no, we're not done yet, Jazz. Don't go nowhere. We will be back here tomorrow, 9 a.m. Eastern Standard Time here on the Table Talk with James and my special co-host, Miss Jasmine Washington. We will continue this conversation tomorrow. So get out your notebooks, get your pencils, your paper, get your kids, put them on the floor. Narrow screen this to your TV. We want our children to be all that they can be in this country that they call their home. Remember me? I am your host, James, and that is Jasmine, your special guest host with the Critical Race Series on Riverside.fm, RSS.com, Facebook Live, and YouTube Live. Until we meet again, may your nights and your days be filled with joy and happiness upon you, and may God bless this heart in your life. This is James with the Table Talk. Thanks for tuning in, and we'll see you tomorrow.